We'll kick this episode off with the very first segment, which is just going to be catching you all up on the Champions League round of 16 results that ensued. Quite a few exciting games went on. These are how they all turned out. Saying that all together was really difficult for some reason, but there were two legs for the round of 16, and these are the aggregate scores, not necessarily just the second leg score, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Atletico Madrid and Chelsea faced off and played in their second leg. The aggregate score ended up being Chelsea 3, Atletico 1, so Chelsea will move on to the quarterfinals now. Next match was Brøndby and Lyon. Lyon won on aggregate by a scoreline of 5 to Brøndby's 1. The next game was LSK and Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg ended up winning on aggregate by scoreline, of 4-0. The next match, Fortuna and Barcelona. Barcelona continues their commanding run of all football this year, including in domestic and tournament play. They won on aggregate by a scoreline of 9-0. Barcelona's barely given up any goals this year, which has just been absolutely phenomenal and impressive. They've been literally running over almost everybody, so that'll be really interesting as the quarterfinals and the semis and the championship ensue. We'll see how they do. The very next set of results that we got is Bayern and FIIK/Kazigert. Barcelona won on aggregate by scoreline of 9-1, so that one was not very close either. Bayern's been playing really well this season. The next match was St. Pölten and Rosengard. Rosengard ended up winning on aggregate by a scoreline of 4-2. Moving into the last couple of matchups, Manchester City and Fiorentina ended up finishing up their second leg. Manchester City was victorious by a scoreline of 8-0 on aggregate. Then the last pair of matches that came down to round off the round of 16 is Sparta Praha and PSG. Currently, PSG is winning that by a scoreline of 5-0. However, they were supposed to play their second their second leg just the other day, but PSG and Olympique Lyonnais got delayed because PSG has been having some issues with COVID. So that match got a little bit delayed into Wednesday, so we won't know the actual result of it until then. However, I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and say PSG will end up winning that one, considering they're already up by 5. But keep that in mind, there's still a game to go, so it's not yet, quote-unquote, official. So, not really a whole ton of surprises in these matches here. The most interesting, I think, out of all of them was Atleti and Chelsea. I figured that would be the most interesting matchup just going through, and it was. It was the closest score besides St. Pölten and Rosengard. So overall, I don't really think this is a very exciting round of 16 because a lot of these aggregate scores were by at least 3-4 goals, but nevertheless, I think the better teams ended up winning pretty much all these games. So that's how the Champions League works, and it's really unforgiving if you don't perform very well. So with that in mind, what is the quarterfinals going to look like? So there's a few matches that are coming up. I'm really excited to see all of them. The first of which is going to be Bayern Munich and Rosengard. I've got Bayern Munich ending up winning that match. The winner of PSG and Sparta Praha, like I said, I'm predicting that it'll be PSG. We'll take on Lyon. That would be a really interesting matchup, and that would be my most anticipated quarterfinal draw if PSG can end up securing the victory over Sparta Praha. That's going to be insane. That'll just be so cool to watch, and I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping that PSG doesn't lay an egg and give up 6 goals against Sparta Praha on Wednesday. So something to keep in mind. Then the next matchup is my second most anticipated matchup because it's the clash of two monumental titans who are playing out of their mind lately. That's Barcelona and Manchester City. Manchester City and Barcelona this year, what can you say about them? Manchester City, I believe, has won like the last 13 or 14 matches in a row, like in all competitions. So they've been lighting up. Gareth Taylor's squad have been doing an excellent job in all competitions this year. But Barcelona are basically on the same trajectory, and they've only allowed like 3 goals in domestic play all season. So this is going to be a very interesting match. I expect a really high-scoring affair. I can't really speak too much to Barcelona's defensive capability because I haven't paid particular attention to that, but I know their scoring capability, and Manchester City's is really high, so I'm predicting a really high-scoring draw for this quarterfinal for those two teams. So if I had to take a shot in the dark and guess, I'm just going to say Manchester City will end up winning and advancing to the semis, only because that would still make my hot take that Manchester City will win the Champions League and also the FAWSL still come true and have hope for that. So I'm a little biased in that, keep that in mind, but I would not be surprised if Barcelona ended up coming out of that quarterfinal victorious. And then the last matchup that we're going to see in the quarterfinals before we get to the semis is going to be Chelsea taking on Wolfsburg. I'm going to say Chelsea will take that one. Chelsea have had a really strong showing in the last few years in the Champions League. Emma Hayes' side are experienced in this area and always perform really well. And then plus, Chelsea's attacking front has been clicking on all cylinders, and they've been performing great. So I've got them finishing out on top of Wolfsburg, but hey, there's only one way to find out. The quarterfinal matches will end up taking place on the 24th and 25th of March, and also on the 30th of March and April 1st. So, just a couple weeks away. I'm really, really excited for it. We'll see how it goes down. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to know, what are your predictions for the quarterfinal draw? Who do you think will end up advancing to the semis? Whatever you think, comment below and let me know. So, that'll do it for this first segment. Let's get into the next part of the episode.